How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking a look at some Pokemon news, leaks, rumors, all that kind of stuff. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and let's get right into it. Starting things off, we're going to be starting with this right here from Makio and J Roses from PokeOS, the best Pokemon website on the internet. No cap. If you guys want to keep up to date with Pokemon mystery gift events and stuff like that, literally this website is your go-to for everything. And currently we have two specific active serial codes that are out right now. So the first one right now is this one right here. This is a Gyarados active serial code or mystery gift code that you guys can get your hands on. And this one is for Melvin K's Gyarados. This is during the 2024 Pokemon Championship in Asia and will be shared. Basically, it is Melvin K or Shaman VGC's Gyarados. To actually get this one, the code you got to use is Gyarados 2023 SG. That's the code that's necessary for it. It's not too, complicated. Again, you guys can pause the video right here to read it. As for this actual Gyarados, it is one that has the ability Intimidate and the moves Waterfall, Thunder Wave, Taunt, Protect. And the item is a Aguav Berry, and nature is Careful. So, guys, get your hands on it. It's going to be going from May 12th until the 30th of June, so you do have some time to get this one. Like, you do have a decent length of time to actually do this one, so I'd highly recommend getting your hands on it right now while you can, because, again, it's not going to run on forever. Eventually, this will run out, but I would say get it now while you can, okay? Get it while it lasts, because it will eventually run out on the 30th of June, so next, like, in a month or so. So definitely go get it your hands right now on it, but it doesn't end there, guys. We have another one. We also have from Pokemon Horizons. Guess what? Upcoming mystery gift, Pokemon Horizons, Dots Quoxley. During the next Pokédoco episode on May 19th, a code will be released to get Dots Quoxley on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This is an official thing that's been confirmed too. Again, keep up to date on the PokeOS. It's an easy way to find this website, POKEOS.com. Go on here, and if you just go on the website, you go to Pokemon Games, you can go to Scarlet and Violet. If you go here, you guys can literally just look up the news section, right? Like, if you look here, like, you guys will see the serial codes are listed. And right now, for example, if you go here, you can go to the dedicated page, and here's a list of all the codes you guys can get your hands on. So right now, please go get your hands on the specifically Gyarados, which is available. And like I said, you're soon going to have your hands on the specifically this little Quoxley. And this belongs to Dot from specifically the Horizons anime. And this is, again, going to be out on May 19th, and it's going to run until the 30th of December, possibly. Again, I don't know if that's guaranteed, but that's like, we don't actually know the exact length of time and how long this is going to last. But if it's similar to the Sprigatito, which is running until the 30th of September, which should be lasting around the same distance of time, which December would be the right month for it to end, or October, maybe even November could work. But anywhere in those last few months is how long this Quoxley event will last. But ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to something a little different. So, next up we have a post from Stealth40k. Again, shout out to Stealth40k, a legend within the Nintendo news scene. And this fella has some interesting stuff for us. So he says here that Nintendo's president, Furukawa, has officially translated a statement about the Nintendo strategy. And here is basically what it's all about. First of all, this is Nintendo's internal things of what they're going to be doing. So, number one, focus on recruitment of graduates and mid-career hires. Working with partner studios and mergers and acquisitions are not a priority. Thank the Lord. I'm sorry, but I'm so happy that Nintendo is not going to be going down the Microsoft and the Sony path and the EA and Activision path, which is buy every other company, rinse them for IPs, and never do anything useful with them, and then just fire all the innocent people, the poor people that just work there, man, and just, lose their jobs at that point. I think that's a horrible practice. I hate Microsoft for doing it. I hate Sony for doing it. I hate any company that does that, especially EA is like the creme de la creme of worst companies is EA for that. And I'm just happy that Nintendo is not putting that as a priority. Stealth continues saying, when Alpha Dream and PlayStation Japan Studio shut down, some former staff found their way to Nintendo. Hey, that's awesome, man. I won't be surprised if that's the case with Tango Gameworks too. So yes, Tango Gameworks, the company that made Hi-Fi Rush, a game that I played on the Xbox Game Pass. It's a fantastic game. It was so much fun. But it got shut down. The studio that made it got shut down. That's Tango Gameworks. And Nintendo grew with over 400 employees from 2023 to 2024. So definitely growing, which is good because Nintendo definitely wants to pump out a lot of games for the upcoming Switch 2, the successor of the Switch console. Like, that thing's coming out soon, and people are excited, and everybody wants to, make sure that this next console is going to have a lot of games. Nintendo wants to make sure that. We as a fans want to make sure they do that. We'll see how it goes. He also says, if you look at the Switch generation and the amount of successful partnerships Nintendo Nintendo has had. It's crazy. Bandai Namco, or Namco Bandai, Koei Tecmo, Platinum Games, Grezzo, Mercury Steam, WayForward, Square Enix, Ubisoft, the list goes on and on and on. It's no surprise Furukawa mentioned it. So it's a good thing that they're not going to be like straight up just buying other companies. Instead, they're just working in tandem, cooperating with other studios to put out great products on the Nintendo consoles, which that's exactly what we want, right? We don't want them to go buying a bunch of studios and then just ruining them, which is because that's what every other company does. So at least they're not focusing on that, which is a good thing. That's a very good thing. It's a very good statement. We love to hear it. Next up, though, we have this post from Kingly. So this is from Kingly saying, Switch 2 cartridge for Legends Z-A. Now, of course, it's not a legit one. I should point that out. But it's based on this post right here from Nintendo. So this is basically a post that was made by Nintendo where they said Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa reaffirmed that the company will continue to release physical games. The Q&A number 4 on the Japanese.co. It's like, I guess, the PDF file here. If you go through the actual information, he says that apparently, yes, digital sales and digital sales ratio increased. Our basic policy is not to simply increase the ratio of digital sales, but to maximize game software sales, including packaged software sales. And this policy will remain unchanged. In doing so, we need to improve convenience for both customers who play packaged software and customers who play downloadable versions. And we'd like to continue making improvements and innovations in the future. This was machine translated. So it's, again, not 100% accurate translation, but it's an interesting point nonetheless. And it's clear that they're going to be focusing still on making physical copies of just Nintendo games. Which, thank you, man. Oh my God, that makes me so happy, man. Listen, I play a lot of digital games. It's just because sometimes they're not available any other way. Like, I can't play Helldivers on Steam without just buying it on Steam. You know what I mean? I can't really go to a store and buy the game. I have to play it online only. It's the only really way I can play it. But there's like games like, you know, which I would love to have in a physical copy. I'd love to have Helldivers. I'd love to have like a lot of different games in a physical copy that I could just have and put it into my little collection. It's just nice to know that when you have it, you own it, right? However, that's something that Nintendo has generally done very well. There are a lot of games, though, that do not get physical versions, which is fine. A lot of indie games don't always get it, and I get that. It's like, again, a physical version is way higher cost. Just the production of that, like, physical version does cost a lot more money. So I understand it, but I will be very excited to see where this is going to go in the future, though. Also, speaking of these cartridges here, I wonder if this is what the next Switch cartridge is going to look like, because we know for a fact that the regular Switch cartridges from the original Switch will work on the Switch too. So that is one thing we definitely know. And again, I love this little custom one that he made here. I like shout out to Kingly. Kingly's a Chad, actual mad lad. Shout out Kingly for this, for making this cool little mock-up. I love it. Mwah, creme de la creme. Moving on, though, we have the next thing, which is this post from Cool Trainer Ace, who made a summarization of all the recent news we've had, so I thought we'd go into this really quickly. Starting off, what's Nintendo's next console announcement mean for Pokemon? Welcome back to another week of Pokemon news, served up fresher than a Slowpoke tail on a bed of Bellsprout leaves. Again, he says, this week's rundown, finally, legit news about the Switch successor, prepare for its 7-star Primarina, and more. Now, the 7-star Primarina actually ends today. As of me recording this video, this ends today. However, the rest of the information is relevant, though. So, for example, Furukawa, the president of Nintendo, did make an announcement. I already talked about this, about the Switch, the new Switch actually being announced within this fiscal year. So, anywhere between now and March of next year, it should be announced. So, most likely September is when we're going to see this actual console announced. And basically just saying that they're going to be, focusing on a brand new Nintendo Direct in June to announce brand new games for the Switch, to kind of finish off the Switch's era. But again, he continues on saying here that, the question is, what does this mean for Pokemon games? There are 3 things to pay attention to here regarding this news and upcoming Pokemon releases. The announcement timeline. The Japanese fiscal year runs from April 1st till March 31st, giving Nintendo 10 months to unveil the Switch successor. Now, I don't put stock in most leaks out there, but one source claims that March 2025 release for the new console, and this sounds like a good bet. Now, that actual source is a legit source, so I would trust that. So does later in 2025 to capture the holiday season hype. An early spring 2025 release clouds the picture when trying to guess the Legends Z-A date and potential possibility for a surprise 2024 remake game. We'll discuss both next. Now, alignment with potential Legends Z-A release. Another recent leak out there claims that Legends Z-A won't come out before Pokemon Day 2025, February 27th. Now, I'm not buying it. Yes, the Z-A teaser trailer mentions of Switch systems. Could be a hint at compatibility on the next console. Also, it could just be reference, like he says here, it could also be reference to the Switch Lite, the regular Switch, and the Switch OLED too, right? When they talk about Switch systems, right? It could be the case, but who knows? Now, given that both the Switch Successor and the Legends Z-A will come out in 2025, it's likely that Game Freak creates a version of the game optimized for the new console. I don't think they will do that, I'll be honest. They've never done that before, and I highly doubt they're going to do that now. This is just something Game Freak never does. I'd love if they did it. If they made a better optimized version for the next console, oh my god, thank you. Yes, please, but they're not going to do that realistically. Now, he says, even if it doesn't release at the same time as the original Switch version does, that means there's no reason to delay Z-A until the new console arrives. Now, if the Switch Successor doesn't come before fall 2025, the argument is even stronger for an early 2025 Legends Z-A release. And if backwards compatibility exists, gamers would have no reason to wait for the new console before grabbing Z-A. Now, I'm still counting on Legends Z-A before Pokemon Day 2025. Now, what about a potential Pokemon remake in fall of 2024? I'm not very worse than the leaks surrounding this pipe dream theory. That said, I can't count it out until the end of this month. With June's Nintendo Direct likely to feature the final big release announcement for the Switch console, May is about the last chance to squeeze in news of any Pokemon release coming in 2024 that is not named, I guess, TCG Pocket. Right. So yeah, again, I don't really know if we're going to see that. You know, like, again, Ultra Sun and Moon, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and New Snap, all of those have been around, you know, and even if it gets to include it here, but also Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire were also announced in May, right? A lot of like remake games and third version games always got announced in May or June. It only really changed, you know, starting from you know, the Crown Tundra Isle of Armor. That's when they started not really announcing them in May or June anymore, which I don't think necessarily kills the possibility of that. So, again, nothing really guaranteed to say there. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, moving on to the next thing. This is a post made by by Central Leak saying that Nintendo Switch's 2 code name is Muji, which I don't know if that's proven. It just has I don't know if it's a data mine of sorts. But according to Anubis, or Sibuna Switch, or Anubis, he says the original reason he made a Twitter account was because of this feature. Hence my username, Sibuna Switch, for the Switch named Anubis. Will I miss it? No, but it's clunky to use and limits how much I could write in the captions. Now, the reason he brings this up is because he actually made a whole post that apparently basically what's happening is Nintendo of America, as of June 10th, 2024, will no longer be possible to post screenshots and videos to X, formerly Twitter, from Nintendo Switch album, or send friend requests to social media users via the friend suggestion feature. So yeah, they've totally removed that. Like, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a stupid thing to remove. I don't know. It's just such a weird little thing to remove. However, there was something interesting mentioned here as well, which was actually about the code name. Now, see, here's the thing. When I saw Centro's post about this being like, you know, oh, hey, we're actually getting this, there was an actual reply by Anubis about how that code name doesn't necessarily, you know, like, it doesn't necessarily confirm anything because, you know, there has been like moments before where, like, you know, the Switch, when even that was being rumored, there was a different code name. So I don't know if Muji's the actual code name. I haven't seen any concrete proof of it. And most people that, like, you know, try to like look up information about it haven't really been able to find anything relevant for it. So I wouldn't really trust that 100%. However, this I would trust, though. This is just a compilation of everything we know about the Switch 2, right? And this is all by Central Leaks. Again, Central is just an aggregator of news. Doesn't necessarily leak any of their own information. So yeah, again, it would be interesting to see how this feels. But let's start from the top here. Nintendo Switch 2 leaks compilation, everything we know about the Nintendo Switch successor. Now, lots of information regarding the successor to Nintendo Switch has been popping up over the last few weeks. While we have covered most of the trustworthy rumors and leaks, we wanted to compile everything we know about the next-gen Nintendo console, starting up with the performance. Now, the reality is that the Switch 2 will have a very powerful handheld device, much more than you might expect. Now, the PS5 and Xbox Series X will be 4 years old when the Switch 2 releases, and the Switch 2 hardware will be much more modern, especially thanks to DLSS, geez. So, while raw power won't match current-gen consoles, image quality won't be far behind. I hope this is going to be a positive thing for Pokemon games, because God forbid if they have another laggy, buggy, slow running. Like, dude, if Pokemon games don't run at 60 frames a second, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm sorry. Anybody, like, listen, I play competitive shooter games. I play games on the computer. When a game runs under 200 frames a second, my eyes hurt, okay? My eyes hurt. I cannot play shit at like 30 FPS, bro. It's horrible. They really need to like push that shit up, man. But either way, comparing apples to apples, here's just impossible. The architecture is too different. We don't have enough information yet. However, it will be a gigantic leap over the original Switch, and Nintendo is using a lot of cutting-edge technology for this. So that's a good positive. That's a massive positive. Hey, if it performs better, it's got better hardware, that's all we want, okay? That's all we want. Now, Continue on saying, all but confirmed. The screen will be 8 inches LCD, at least on one launch model. Okay, that's unfortunate again. I don't know why we just don't launch it with OLED, but of course, so you can sell a secondary version. But either way, we'll use DLSS version 3.5 to improve performance and support ray tracing. All right, fair enough. 12 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, actually, that's pretty solid. 250 gigs of UFS 3.1 internal storage. We'll use magnets to attach the new Joy-Cons in some way. I am kind of worried about that whole magnet thing. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, we'll be completely backwards compatible with the original Switch games. That is the big, that's so good. Okay, the fact that you'll be able to play your old games on this Switch, both physical and digital, is fantastic. And we'll connect via Bluetooth to original Joy-Con and Pro controllers. Mwah! Beautiful. Now, you won't be able to actually, dock it, put the regular Joy-Cons into it, but you'll be able to, Bluetooth connect it. 4K support while docked. Uses the new NVIDIA Tegra T23... 239 chip, jeez. Other potential leaks: integrated microphone, launch in March 2025. Sega, Atlas, Capcom, EA, Bandai Namco, Square Enix, and Koei Tecmo will immediately support the new console. New physical cartridge format. The size of the console will be between the original Switch and the Steam Deck, closer to the ROG Ally, which I have tried that one. It is a solid console. We'll use new micro SD express cards for expandable storage, so your current micro SD cards may not work. This new SD format will launch later this year and will be more expensive. Initially, these cards will be limited to 256 gigabytes. All right, that sounds fair. Rumors that need more sources: one new button on the back of the Joy-Con, one new button below the home button, kickstand will have a dampening bracket, and Pokemon is already working on 3 projects for the new console. That's all for now. Any other rumors, especially regarding pricing or multiple SKUs, are most likely fake. And that pretty much summarized the information for the Switch 2. Again, I'm excited for this console. I'm excited to finally see some news on it, probably in September most likely. And also we have that June Direct, a confirmed June Direct is happening, guys. We know it's happening. We just don't know exactly when in June, but we know it is happening, and that shit is hype, okay? Hype. We like that. Well, let's move on now to a great post. Now, this was a post made by Disad690. Disad690 made a great post about Generation 10, Gen 2 remakes, and Legends Z-A's release dates. So, we're going to read through this post. Again, shout out to them. This is all their post. And also, thank you to one of our boys, Jay Wants to Battle, for sharing this post with me. Because he said, hey, I think you should take a look at this. It's a great, possible, video ID as well. And, just a cool concept. Because some people that are maybe the younger generation of Pokemon fans don't really understand the timelines with remakes and announcements. And somebody on Reddit basically puts this, really well together. And this is basically this post by Disad690. So, let's see what he says. Sorry, I'm not sure if this is something discussed often, but I just want to pop in and say it's pretty predictable when we'll see the next big announcement, right? Now, if you look at the trend of the release cycle, I'd say it's pretty predictable when we'll hear about Generation 10, a Gen 2 remake, and the release date of a newly announced Legends Z-A. Now, bolded are what I'm guessing will be the case. So bold, anything in bold is what he's just making guesses. So that'd be anything like 2025 here is all in bold, right? But here's what he says. So if we start off from the bottom down here, and this is, I guess, Gen 6, right? So Gen 6 was between 2013 2014 here. You had 2013 main game. So this is a brand new generation game. X and Y announced in January, released in October. 9 months, okay? Following that up the year afterwards, we had 2014 with the remake, Oras, announced in May, released in October, 5 months. And only had 5 months of promotional cycle versus the 9 months of the other games. So there's a big difference there, right? Moving on. Gen 7, 2016 to 2018, right? So you had releases between that time frame. So again, you got to remember, Gen 6 also ran for 3 years, by the way. 2013, 2014, and 2015 was all Generation 6, because there was nothing in 2015, but it was still a Generation 6 year, because that's just the generation we're still in. And Generation 7 only started 3 years after in 2016. So 2016 had the brand new Gen game. So when I say Gen game, if you're a newer fan of Pokemon, new generational games are the games that basically start a new generation. So basically, whole new games. No remakes, no third versions, no DLC. It's like when it's a brand new game with a brand new region, brand new everything. So examples of that are Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, Pokemon, Ruby Sapphire, Diamond Pearl, Black and White, X and Y, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. Those are new generational games. Those are games that started generations. So, he says 2016 main game Sun and Moon announced in February, released in November, so 9 months. 2017 main game Ultra Sun and Moon announced in June, released in November, 3 months, right? Well, actually, was that 3 months or isn't it 5? Wait. Announced in June, right? June. Well, if we don't count June, if we just say July, August, September, October, right? November? 5 months. That's still 5 months. I think he kind of got that wrong a little bit, right? He says 2017 remake, Let's Go Pikachu Navy announced in May, released in November, 5 months later. So yes, this is 2 games in a row. And also he wrote the wrong date here. It's actually supposed to be 2018. It's supposed to be 2018 here. He kind of messed up the dates, which it's fine. I'm going to correct it wherever he's wrong. But it's actually 2018 here. But he is right, though. That was announced in May, and it was released 5 months later in November. Moving on. Generation, I guess, 8, right? Starts in 2019. So 3 years after, right? 3 years after the launch of Generation 7, we got Generation 8. 2019, main game. Sword and Shield announced in February, released in November, 9 months later. 2020, DLC, announced in January, released in June, one of them 5 months later, in October, 9 months later. So again, it's a little bit of a split. 2021, remake, BDSP, announced in February, released in November, 9 months. And then Legends Arceus, I guess in this case, announced in February, released in January, that's 11 months. That's the longest wait we had was this one, but we had a game right before that, like 2 months earlier than that, right? So it's fine. Moving on to Generation 9. So here, it launches in 2022, and he assumes it's going to end in 2025. So 2022 main game was Scarlet and Violet, announced in February, 9 months, and then the DLC announced in, the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc, announced in February, released in September and December. So 7 to 10 months later. And then 2024, Legends Z-A, announced in February, released in January 2025, 11 months later. That would make total sense if it was released in that time frame. Makes total sense, which is where he continues saying that Generation 10, logically, and again, this is where people are going to disagree, this is where people are going to have arguments on this shit. I still believe that we're not going to get Generation 10 in 2026, which is the 30-year anniversary. I know people think that's the case, but I still think it's the opposite. I know people can argue with me and stuff. Oh, but it's a 30th anniversary. Listen, the only thing that would make me believe that is if we go to Pokemon Day of next year and they don't announce it. And honestly, I'll just be wrong then. There's a part of me that still thinks they're going to announce the next generation next year to coincide with the next console. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? Either way, he says here that Generation 10 main game, Gen 10 main game announced in February, released in November, 9 months, right? 2026 DLC, Generation 10 DLC announced in February, released in July, 5 months, and November, 9 months. 2027 Legends, Gen X Legends for Gold and Silver, Sun and Moon, in February, released in January 2028, 11 months, right? Now, so I'm open to making a fool of myself, but I think Game Freak has found their rhythm in the past couple of generations, and I don't see them messing with it. The only assumption I'm sure is wrong, but personally believe is what may have been seen at the end of traditional remakes with BDSP. Now, with Legends Z-A being announced before a remake, I like to believe they'll be pivoting from just re-releasing the old games to making them as Legends games instead, riffing on their old hits in a new way entirely to make it more original, since the alternatives going forward for traditional remakes are what? Gen 1 had 2 remakes, with the most recent one releasing 6 years ago, so it's out. Gen 2 could receive a remake, but I don't know if there's the nostalgia for Gen 2 games like there was for the Gen 1 games. There definitely is, okay? Gen 3 remakes would suffer the same problem, plus they already did one back in 2014, so that's out. Generation 4, 2 remakes effectively with LA and BD, like Legends Arceus and BDSP, so that's out. Gen 5 got skipped in the Legends generation selection from using Diamond and Pearl and X and Y, skipping Black and White 2. Seems like they don't want to touch these experimental titles, so we'll have to, say they're out. Moving on after that, the Gen 6 Sun and Moon, releasing 8 years ago. No way they're making another remake of those, so that's out. Generation, 8, last generation main game, so that's out. And, the current one is also out. So, my take, anyways, so that leaves it open. Do they really make straight Gen 2 traditional remake like Let's Go Pikachu Navy, which can reasonably be expected won't perform as well? Or do they just go with a complete reimagining of Gen 2 or, Sun and Moon, I guess, in this case, which I don't know if they would do that. Maybe go turn the clock forward to Johto, to bring out the late 90s and into the modern times of the mid-2020s. That would be cool. Again, now I'm going to say some opinions I have here, okay? There is a chance that we're only gonna get Legends Arceus next year, Legends Z-A next year. And the biggest reason for us maybe only getting Legends Z-A and why I'm gonna have to accept defeat and we're maybe not gonna get a new generation next year, even though that'll be the first time since Generation 5, I would say, that they've actually broken their 3-year cycle. The only thing that would stop that is if we do not get Legends Z-A released early next year. If Legends Z-A doesn't get released early next year, that changes everything. The problem is we don't even know when it's coming out next year. We just know it's coming out in Like, you know, I mean, like when I say early, I'm talking January, February. If it comes out at any point after that, I don't know, Chief. But we're going to have to wait and see. That's the problem, right? We're going to have to wait and see. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. Again, thank you guys all for watching. Check out PokeOS if you guys want to get updates on different Pokemon news and information. Everything is on there. Go check it out. And I'll see you guys the next time. Peace out.